Hi, I'm Tracy Hall, and I'm going to talk some more to all of my Montessori Beginnings families about guidance. Last week, I talked a bit about setting limits and kind of what the basic rules of thumb are that I use to help me decide whether or not I need to intervene and whether or not to set a limit. So once I decide that I need to engage with the child, I then think about the language I'm going to use, particularly with toddlers. As your child moves from infancy into toddlerhood, one of the things that you'll notice is their interest in no. They might not even have the word yet, but they begin to let you know that what you've asked is something they do not want to do. And for them, that feels very powerful, like, wow, I can decide. I am my own self. I think it helps me to remember that they're just feeling a really strong sense of self when they say no, but also to have some tools to help them when I need them to collaborate with me. That's what I want, is to collaborate with the toddler. And so when something has happened where a child is standing on a table and I think it's important for them to be safe, I'm going to invite them to do what I want them to do. So, for example, I've decided standing on this table is unsafe. Instead of saying that's unsafe, I'm just going to say be safe. Now, the toddler may not know. They know, okay, she's signaled something's not right here. She wants something different. But they don't necessarily know what it means to be safe. So every time I invite a child to be safe, then I'm going to let them know this is what you can do to be safe. So rather than talking about what I want them to stop doing, I'm just going to tell them what they can do to be safe. So when a child is standing on the table, a way to be safe is to put your feet on the floor. So I would say, be safe. Put your feet on the floor. Now, sometimes that kind of direction is challenging because they're like, she said, put my feet on the floor. I'm going to do the opposite. So then another thing we can do to make it easier for a toddler to collaborate with us is to give them some power in the collaboration, offer them a choice. So for example, if it's time to go to the bathroom for them to change their diaper or to take off wet underpants, then I might say, it's time to take a bathroom break. And maybe they just come with me, but sometimes they don't. And so then I'm going to say, you may walk with me to the bathroom, or you can tiptoe to the bathroom. So many children will walk or tiptoe. Now, if they don't agree to collaborate, then sometimes we need to make the decision to go ahead and fully set the limit. So then I do say, you may tiptoe to the bathroom or take giant steps. Nothing. And I say, I see that you are choosing to stay here and it is time to go to the bathroom. So you can walk with me or I will pick you up. A lot of toddlers would much rather bring themselves to the bathroom than be picked up. I'm not really giving them as much of a choice anymore. I'm really saying it's time to go and I'm going to help you unless you help yourself. So we're still setting limits, but we're using positive guidance. The other thing I wanted to mention is I know I talk about that we are observing and checking to see if we need to intervene, but there's some basic things that you can set in place in advance. For example, in our environment, we have paint at the easel. And because paint, if it's just used freely around the room, even though our paint is washable, toddlers aren't really good at knowing this paint is washable and this paint will stain and this pen is washable and this one is not. So we just make very clear rules about paint and very clear rules about writing instruments. So for the paint, we just say paint stays at the easel. That is just a basic rule of thumb that we're using because we want them to be safe with the paint, or we could say be gentle with our room, keep the paint on the easel. So you can set that kind of rule for yourself and just have it be very clear. Paint stays at the easel. Pens stay at the table. And I know that we as adults may sometimes watch something unfold and think, well, now she's moved over here and she did bring the paper with her to the bar stool. So, that's really still okay. Just remember that it's hard for toddlers to understand why we're reinterpreting the rule again and again. So some things it's easier for them if it's just this is how it is. Um, and then when they walk around with the paint instead, we can say, paint stays at the easel. You can bring the paintbrush back to the easel. Or you can take giant steps when you take it back to the easel. We can still give them a little bit of choice. And then maybe eventually we have to take the paintbrush back to the easel when they're not able to. Um, letting yourself know that you are the adult. They don't know how to make good decisions, but if we tell them what we want in positive ways, those children are much more likely to want to collaborate with us and be part of a team that's working together.